footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our FBS Game of the Week preview between the LSU Tigers and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with LSU.
The LSU Tigers have tremendous weapons on the outside in Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry that can give the Crimson Tide problems. The key will be moving both guys around the formation or keeping them inside in an effort to give them a free release and to also avoid being walled off and to give them opportunities to work in space. And you have to like what you've seen so far from Zach Mettenberger, the quarterback this season. But what's most important this week will be his ability to beat the blitz. He's going to have to make quick and decisive decisions with the football. Now defensively, one thing that has to show itself this week versus Alabama is the Tigers' pass rush. They have to be able to apply pressure off the edge versus A.J. McCarron in that Crimson Tide passing game. I do believe LSU has the opportunity to win some of those battles on the edges. They just have to be more consistent to be able to put McCarron on the ground. Now let's move over to Alabama in this ball game, and for the Crimson Tide, I look at the interior offensive line having to have a huge game versus Anthony Johnson and company, because LSU does a great job of getting penetration on the inside, and Bama's more of an ISO and power running game, so any interior pressure could make it tough to run the football. Now where the Tide have a mismatch, I believe, is at the tight end position. I believe both O.J. Howard and Brian Vogler can have success versus the LSU linebackers. So I look for more double tight end sets and a few passes going their way early in the ball game to loosen up that box so they can run the ball more effectively. Now defensively, look for Alabama's inside linebackers Trey DePriest and C.J. Mosley playing huge roles in this matchup. LSU's running game is similar to Bama's, and both inside linebackers as well as the nose guard Brandon Ivory will have to win at the line of scrimmage to stop LSU on the ground. Now versus the pass, A-gap and B-gap pressure versus Mettenberger is key. He's a quarterback that is slow to react to inside pressure and also has a propensity to hold on to the football a little bit too long, both of which could ultimately lead to sacks or turnovers. LSU's X factor will be offensive coordinator Cam Cameron and what he has scripted for the first 15 plays of this game and the second half adjustments that'll have to be made. Now, will it be a tale of two game plans or more on the adjustment side, like moving the pocket for Mettenberger, or by formation like spreading out that defense, that 3-4 defense, and still running downhill with Jeremy Hill? Either way, Cam Cameron will have a huge impact on this ball game. The X factor for the Crimson Tide will be their cornerback play. They're going to have to hold their own individually versus Landry and Beckham and force Mettenberger to go to other targets. If they can do that, it goes a long way in helping the Crimson Tide come away victorious. Now here are some coaching points for both teams in this ball game. For LSU, the secondary can't fall asleep. More in particular, the safety play. They have to stay alert. Alabama does a great job operating off play action, and if you get caught looking in the backfield, it could end up in a touchdown. Anthony Johnson winning on the inside versus Alabama's offensive line will be key. Number one, it slows down the running game, and two, it makes life complicated for A.J. McCarron, who struggles with stepping up into the pocket. And the Tigers have to stay ahead of the chains on offense. Protecting the quarterback is easier to do in second and short and third and short situations if you want to throw the football, and that would actually work better for LSU's passing game, because remember, if they get in second and long, third and long situations, that's going to open up that protection for those A-gap and B-gap pressures that Mettenberger struggles against. And for Alabama in this ball game, you want to isolate LSU's linebackers both in the running game as well as in the passing game. I think that's the matchup that they can exploit throughout the course of this ball game. And you want to win the special teams battle. Both teams have outstanding return units. Alabama has to win 2 out of the 3 aspects of a football game in order to knock off LSU. And working O.J. Howard and Brian Vogler in the game plan early could not only put pressure on LSU's underneath coverage, but could also help these guys out in trying to run the football much more effectively. Now here are some 2014 draft prospects you want to keep an eye on in this ballgame, and as expected, both teams are stockpiled with next level talent. LSU has arguably the best receiving core in the country with Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry, and much more junior talent than Alabama. Now when you look at the Crimson Tide, you see a lot of senior leadership, especially along the front line. C.J. Mosley is an outstanding linebacker. Ed Stinson holds his own up front. Anthony Sean, in my opinion, is the best guard in the country. So both teams have a lot of talent, which should make this an interesting watch for NFL talent evaluators. The name Chinese Bandits was given to the Tigers' third-string defense by legendary head coach Paul Deitzel, as these guys played no more than 10 minutes a game and didn't surrender a touchdown all season long, helping that LSU Tiger football team win the 1958 national championship. Leroy Jordan was an outstanding linebacker for the Alabama Crimson Tide. A two-time All-SEC performer, was also a 1963 All-American, and was MVP of the 1960 Blue Bonnet Bowl as well as the Orange Bowl, where he had 30 tackles versus a Clemson Tiger ball club. I like Alabama in this ball game. I think the exotic blitzes will cause problems for their Tiger protection. I look for Alabama on offense to be able to run the football. It will also take full advantage of the intermediate and deep coverage of LSU. So I like Alabama to win this one at home.